Hello, buddy. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today, of course, is Monday, March the 16th, 2026. So, of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Hopefully, everybody's having a good day thus far, or a good week thus far, early on here. Now, tomorrow is, of course, St. Valentine's Day. So, or not St. but St. Patrick's Day, rather. I know a lot of people getting ready to go out and do a little drinking tomorrow night there. But anyways, so as I said, we're just waiting to see if anybody else shows up before we get started. Um, basically, we was just running a little behind today, so didn't even just barely got material ready just prior to the show here. So, but but still got some stuff. I think I'm going to be going over tonight. At least one little feature bit, as it were. Friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Let's see, 2 minutes. So we'll wait one more minute and I'll talk about what's on tap for tonight. Let's see. Casper, the friendly ghost, friendliest ghost you know. Oh, it looks like we have three people here, so I guess I'll just go ahead and talk about what's on tap. So tonight we're gonna take a look back at the history of Casper the Friendly Ghost a bit here. Look back on who Casper was and all that, and get into some of the history of him. From starting out as a character in the famous Studios novel tune series to getting his own series to maybe even getting into different comics and movies and all that he was involved in and all that. I'll just see how much we'll get through in about I don't know 35-40 minutes worth of time, I guess. Then, of course, we'll get caught up on all the latest in pro wrestling, particularly from the WWE and AEW. Of course, WWE continuing its build towards WrestleMania coming up on the weekend of April 18th and 19th, and then also AEW just coming off of their Revolution pay per view with a number of returns and debuts, including one that's getting a lot of backlash on in particular. We'll talk a bit about that, and we'll wrap things up with this day in each history. So, anyways, with all that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started here now. Again, one last friendly reminder before we get started, of course. If you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started then. All right, so let's get started with this article here. First off, let's get some of the basics out of the way here. Let's see, Casper the Friendly Ghost. Cover of Casper the Friendly Ghost, number 34, July of 1955. First appearance, The Friendly Ghost, November 16th, 1945. That was, of course, in the novel tune series. Created by Seymour Reed, Joe Oriolo, and Vincent E. Valentine, adapted by Harvey Comics and voiced by maybe we'll take a look at that a little bit. In universe information, race, ghost, deceased human in some versions, titled The Friendly Ghost, family, the ghostly trio, his uncles. So with that basic information out of the way, let's get into a little bit more in depth on who Casper the Friendly Ghost is. Casper the Friendly Ghost is a fictional character who serves as the protagonist of the famous studio's theatrical animated cartoon series of the same name. Now, granted, he started out as a feature in their novel tune series, and then got so popular that he got his own series. He is a translucent ghost who is pleasant and personable, but often criticized by his three wicked uncles, the ghostly trio, along with most of Ghostum. A lot of the ghosts he hangs around with believe that their only purpose in life is to go out and scare people and be mean. Casper is kind of the, for lack of a better term, the black sheep of the ghost community, as it were. So, the character was featured in 55 theatrical cartoons titled The Friendly Ghost from 1945 to 1959. The character has been featured in comic books published by Harvey Comics since 1952. And Harvey purchased the character outright in 1959. Casper became one of Harvey's most popular characters, headlining several comic book titles. Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. Casper's sole mission in life is to go out and make friends. That's quite a nice premise. I mean, he's he probably is one of my favorite cartoon characters. Right up there with Yogi Bear. Yogi Bear's another one that's one of my favorites. These characters, but Casper, just the underlying story there of him just wanting to go out and make friends, being nice to people, helping out where he can. Casper really can set a good example for everybody. And his cartoons, they never pushed it, aside from just being kind to each other, never really pushed any real hardcore message, right? Casper never got all that political or anything like that, So, following Harvey's purchase of the character, he appeared in 5 television series: Maddie's Fun Day Funnies from 1959 to 1961, The New Casper Cartoon Show, 1963 to 70, Casper and the Angels, 1979, The Spooktacular New Adventures of Casper, 1996, 1998, and Casper Scare School, 2009 to 2012. The character made his theatrical film debut in a live action adaptation of the series by Universal Pictures, Casper, 1995. Now, originally, of course, Casper was originally a property of, was distributed. A lot of famous studios works were originally distributed by Paramount Pictures. To where he became the first computer-generated character to star in a film. He would later appear in 4 direct-to-video and made-for-TV follow-up movies. The Apollo 16 Command and Service Module was given the call sign Casper, in quotes there, since its pilot, Ken Mattingly, thought, quote, "There are enough serious things in this flight, so I picked a non-serious name. Casper, the Friendly Ghost. the friendliest ghost you know. Uh, let's see. And I'll be right back. I just need to step away from the computer for a moment. I'll be right back, but I will put some music on while I'm gone. All right, I'm back now, so let's get back to the article here. Creation. So, just how was Casper the Friendly Ghost created? How did Casper the Friendly Ghost come about? Well, let's go ahead and look into that. So, the origins of Casper are disputed, with both Seymour Reet and Joe Oriolo claiming to be the character's creator. According to Oriolo, Casper was created on a Halloween night to assuage his 4-year-old daughter, Joan's fear of the dark. He made a cardboard cutout of a friendly ghost to hang in the backyard, hung it in the backyard tree to show her and not all ghosts are bad. Oh, how cute! That's kind of a cute little story. Let's see. Though Joan has corroborated the story, Seymour Reet maintains that Casper was born with a short story which he conceived and wrote entirely by himself and gave to Oriolo to illustrate. Reet concluded, well, in a way, then both of them created it because whichever story you want to take here, they both had a hand in creating. Because Reet, even though he may have come up with the script and the character and all that, Oriolo is probably the one who drew it. So Reet concluded, quote, Joe created the actual cartoon of the character or the picture, but the concept, series, idea, and plotline were mine prior to Joe's involvement. Joe played an important role, but I was Casper's legit, quote unquote, papa. Emphasis in original. In brackets there. Yeah, well, I mean, argument could say that they both were, they both had a hand in creating it, obviously. Anyways, Reet and Oriolo intended to sell the story to either Fleischer Studios, in parentheses, where they were both employed as animators, or to a children's storybook publisher, and they eventually lined up a deal with Grosset and Dunlap. When Reet was away on military service during World War II, before the book was released, Oriolo sold the rights to the book to Famous Studios, the successor of, in parentheses here, the successor to Fleischer Studios, after it was acquired by Paramount, unquote, for a total of $175. The one-time payment was all that he received, missing out on a share of the revenue earned from the films, comic books, and merchandise to come. For his part, Reet received no payment for the book. Oh, that must have caused a significant rift between Reet and Oriolo. Those two, I'm sure that Reet probably wanted to wring Oriole's neck for that one. How dare you sell my character without my permission, you jerk! Right? Oh boy. In the original famous cartoons, Casper is standing next to a grave inscribed with quote unquote Casper. That supports the theory that he is indeed a ghost. Originally, stories have shown his visibility due to wearing a sheet. In the Casper live action film, it is not known, and it is implied that he is naturally visible to humans as a white creature. All right, so that was his creation. Now appearances. Let's see now. And again, depending on how long it takes, again, I'm going to probably go to about the 35 or 40-minute mark with this. So I'm watching the time here. And again, friendly reminder, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions best of my ability. That goes for both my Rumble and my YouTube viewers. Well, anyways, getting ready to continue on here. Let's see. So his appearances, his theatrical appearances. The Friendly Ghost, the first novel tune short to feature Casper, was released by Paramount in May 1945. With a few differences from the book, in the cartoon adaptation, Casper is a cute ghost child with a New York accent who inhabits a haunted house along with a community of adult ghosts who delight in scaring the living, which is a common theme in a lot of Casper cartoons. Now, mind you, of course, Casper would go through some changes over time. The Casper that you saw in The Friendly Ghost, the first theatrical short, would be somewhat different from what we would come to know later in like the new Casper cartoon show and some of the other adaptations that you would find him in later on. Even from his later theatrical shorts when he got his own theatrical series. Casper, in contrast, would prefer to make friends with people. He packs up his belongings and goes out into the world, hoping to find friends. However, the animals that he meets, a rooster, a mole, a cat, a mouse named Herman. Hint, hint, another little thing there, another little tag to another series of novel tunes, Herman, starting out of Henry and Herman, then becoming Herman and Catnip. And a group of hens, unparenthesed, take one horrified look at him, scream, quote unquote, a ghost, and run off in the other direction. Distraught, Casper attempts suicide, in parentheses, apparently forgetting that he is already dead, by lying down on a railroad track before an oncoming train, before he meets two children named Bonnie and Johnny, who become his friends. The children's mother, apparently widowed and impoverished, is frightened of Casper. She later welcomes him into the family after he unintentionally frightens off a greedy landlord who, unwilling to own a quote-unquote haunted house, tears up the mortgage and gives her the house outright. The short ends with the mother kissing Bonnie, Johnny, and Casper as she sends them off to school with Casper wearing clothes as if he were a living child. And mind you, the outfit that he has is something you might see, maybe somewhere in Central Europe, right? like maybe in the Eastern or Central Europe, areas. That's what his attire was like at the end of that cartoon. Um, Again, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here catches your attention. Casper appeared in 2 more Noveltoon shorts. There's good booze tonight and a haunting we will go. Released in 1948 and 1949 respectively. Even so, it took almost a full 3 years before they would release another Casper cartoon. Respectively. Even though Famous Studios president and general manager Sam Buchwald had already given approval for Casper to have his own series, in these cartoons, Casper's appearance was cuter and more infantile than his debut cartoon. As I said, they went through some changes as time went on. Head animator Myron Waldman had claimed credit for the redesign. There's Good Booze Tonight differs wildly from later Casper cartoons, although the theme of Casper trying to find a friend and failing in these attempts before succeeding also occurs in later cartoons. The tone of this short turns remarkably dark when a hunter and his dogs appear chasing a little fox cub named Ferdy. So I guess they're talking about there's good booze tonight, I guess. That Casper has befriended. Although Casper scares the hunter and dogs away, Casper discovers Ferdy dead after a harrowing chase scene. Ferdy returns as a ghost to join his friend Casper in the afterlife. So there was so yes, they would at times do some dark stuff in cartoons, in the theatricals. Of course, TV would become even stricter. Hopefully, I hope everybody's enjoying the material here. These 3 cartoons were initially billed as Noveltoon shorts before Paramount started the official Casper the Friendly Ghost series in 1950, which ran until 1959. So basically about 9-10 years there. Most of the entries in the series were relatively the same. Casper, in parentheses here, now slightly thinner than the pudgy figure that appeared in the earlier cartoons, on parentheses, escapes from the afterlife of regular ghosts because he finds that scaring people can be tiresome year after year. Tries to find friends, but inadvertently scares almost everyone, and finally finds a, in parentheses, cute little friend whom he saves from some sort of fate leading to acceptance by those initially scared of him. Yeah, that's kind of a funny thing. Usually, in a lot the formula for Casper is he goes about trying to make friends, and usually he'll talk to adults, he'll talk to adult animal, adult animals, and maybe older kids are afraid of him. Usually the ones that are the ones who aren't like afraid of Casper upon first meeting him are the real young ones. Like I would say those who might be 7, to give kind of a comparison, kids who are like 7 or under are not inherently scared of Casper. Unlike maybe older kids and maybe older kids and adults and all that. So um, that's kind of the. I think Bonnie and John. I think Johnny was like 7. Bonnie was 5 in that first cartoon. Ferdy was probably considered a pretty young character. Um, you know, basically younger characters. Who would either that or just you know characters like in. I remember there was one where he befriended an elephant who had a sneezing problem. Who part of the problem was he had basically inhaled a bird's feather. So, anyways, getting back to the article here. So, animation historian Leonard Maltin, in his book of Mice and Magic, criticized the series for its reliance on repetition, saying that Casper was, quote, the most monotonous character to invade cartoon land since Mighty Mouse. Yeah, but now I don't necessarily think that that's necessarily a wrong thing in this case. It worked. Casper was a very beloved character, very well liked, you know. And the whole premise of a ghost who at least most people would think that a ghost's sole mission in life is to go out and be mean and scare people. You have this one that contradicts all that and actually wants to go out and make friends instead. So, and I can see why you would think Mighty Mouse would be monotonous too, because Mighty Mouse is, just perennially the save the day, damsel in distress, save the day motif. It seemed as if every Casper cartoon followed the same storyline with only minor variations. Again, nothing wrong with that. One of the animators, Lee Mishkin, similarly complained, quote, with the Casper series, you never knew what picture you were working on because they were all exactly the same, unquote. Well, I don't think it would get that monotonous. It should not have, because obviously you should know, because obviously the setting would change. Maybe the specific characters would change. So I don't necessarily fully agree with that. But, anyways. All right, so Harvey Comics. Now I guess we'll get a chance to look at Casper's venture into the published page. Let's see what we got here. Oh, hey, Metal. Hey, Metal, let's see. I don't disagree with them. Casper is better in comic form than the cartoons. The cartoons were really samey. Yeah, but something though. Granted, even if you only have the slight variations here and there in terms of setting, location, and cast of supporting characters, I still think that Casper's most endearing quality was his continual quest for friendship. It's a very sweet, innocent type of cartoon that I think we could use more of in the world today, believe it or not. We don't kids don't need to grow up so fast, and we don't need to be losing our innocence so fast, you know. So anyways, getting ready to continue on with the article here in a moment. So Harvey Comics. So Casper was first published in comics form in August 1949 by St. John Publications. running for 5 issues until September 1951. In 1952, Alfred Harvey, founder and publisher of Harvey Comics, began producing Casper comic books. Casper appeared in Harvey Comic Hits number 61, October 1952, and then moved to a solo book with Casper the Friendly Ghost number 7, December 1952. I don't know if I don't know if they just simply changed the title of another book there to get that or not. That sounds like what they did there. Picking up the numbering from the St. John publication. Oh, okay, so I see. Running for 5 issues. Okay. But then what? Then you have to almost ask then what happened to Casper the Friendly Ghost number 6 then. They just simply continued the publishing because it said that St. John's did 5 issues. So what happened to Casper the Friendly Ghost number 6? The series was written and edited by Sid Jacobson and drawn by Warren Kramer, who broke from the formula established in the cartoons by redesigning Casper to have feet, avoiding undue emphasis on the fact that Casper was a dead child. Well, even in the cartoons, though, I think he did have feet, okay? I think he did have feet even in, maybe not in the very earliest of cartoons, but he did have feet in the cartoons. Giving Casper a supporting cast of friends and creating stories in which Casper used his powers to do good. In 1959, Harvey purchased the rights to the character outright, which of course would lead to a change in the cartoons as well, going from novel tunes to Harvey tunes, right? Casper went on to headline a large number of comic book series, as well as appearing in backup stories and guest appearances in other titles. Many of the characters introduced in the comic book series went on to appear in the Casper cartoons. The Casper series inspired 3 popular spin-offs: Spooky, the Tough Little Ghost, Wendy, the Good Little Witch, and the Ghostly Trio. Casper's titles include Casper, Casper Adventure Digest, Casper and Friends, Casper and Friends Magazine, Casper and Nightmare, Casper and Spooky, Casper and the Ghostly Trio, Casper A Spirited Beginning, a film adaptation, Casper Big Book, Casper Digest, Digest Stories, Digest Winners, Enchanted Tales Digest. Since all these have Casper in the title, that's why I'm just going with the unless somewhat of another. The Enchanted Tale, Ghostland, Giant Size, Halloween Trick or Treat, in Space in 3D, Magazine, movie adaptation, Spaceship, Ghostland, Casper's Ghostland, Casper's Scare School, so now Casper's Haunted Christmas, Casper Special, Strange Ghost Stories, The Friendly Ghost, Casper the Friendly Ghost, TV Showtime, Famous TV Fun Day Funnies, The Friendly Ghost Casper, Harvey Tupac, Nightmare and Casper, Richie Rich and Casper, Richie Rich, Casper and Wendy, TV Casper and Company, Casper and the Spectrals. In 2009, a new Casper comic was published called Casper and the Spectrals by Arden Entertainment. Much like The Man of Steel and Batman Year One, did with their respective characters. It revamped Casper and several other Harvey Comics Harvey characters for a new audience. After selling 6,400 copies of the first comic, and the last two issues were published in 2010. Comic book publisher American Mythology picked up the Casper the Friendly Ghost title and has also published Casper and Wendy and Casper and Hot Stuff. All right, so before I get into the list of television shit, I do need to go off camera here for a moment. So I'll be right back. I'll put some music on while I'm gone. And after we read over the TV stuff, then I'll probably be it for this tonight. But be right back. All right, so I'm back now. Well, let's get back to let's get this, and then we will move on from here. Okay, so television. Casper has starred in 5 television shows. Maddie's Fun Day Funnies from 1959 to 1961. As I understand it, those were during the time when you still had some televisions that were still in black and white. The new Casper cartoon show, 1963 to 1970, Casper and the Angels, 1979. The Harvey Toon show, known in the UK as Casper and Friends, 1990 to 1994. The Spooktacular New Adventures of Casper, 1996 to 1998. And Casper Scare School, 2009 to 2012. After Harvey bought the rights to Casper and many other famous properties in 1959, including Herman and Catnip, Little Audrey, and Baby Huey, they began broadcasting the post September 1950 theatrical famous shorts on a television show sponsored by Mattel Toys titled Maddie's Fun Day Funnies on ABC in 1959, which introduced the Barbie doll to the public. The other famous produced Casper cartoons that had already been acquired by television distributor UM&M TV Corporation in 1956, UM&M retitled Just a Haunting We Will Go, but credited featuring Casper the Friendly Ghost as featuring Casper's Friendly Ghost. New cartoons were created for the new Casper cartoon show in 1963, also on ABC. The original Casper cartoons were syndicated under the title Harvey Toons, initially repackaged as Casper and Company in 1963. Yep, as I mentioned, and ran continuously until the mid-90s. Casper has remained popular in reruns merchandising. I mean, every weekday you can catch Casper and Company on MeTV Tunes Monday through Friday at like 10 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific, and then on weekends, I believe you can catch it at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 a.m. Pacific, I believe. So continuing on then. So Hanna-Barbera Productions also gave Casper 2 holiday specials. Casper's First Christmas, which also starred Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Snagglepuss, Quick Draw McGraw, Augie Doggy, and Doggy Daddy. Now, Casper's First Christmas and Yogi's First Christmas are kind of a bit of a paradox because Casper's First Christmas actually came out before Yogi's First Christmas, right? Casper's First Christmas, I think, came out in like 79, and then Yogi's First Christmas came out in 80. So, but the way they were presented, it was almost as if, but then considering Casper is non-canon to Hanna-Barbera, so the universe of Casper's First Christmas may have been some kind of amalgam universe or whatever that they decided to use Hanna-Barbera for. So, anyways, and Casper's Halloween special, aka Casper Saves Halloween, and also the Saturday morning cartoon series Casper and the Angels, an animated takeoff on 2 live-action hit shows, Charlie's Angels and Chips, in the autumn of 1979, all on NBC. Also featured on the NBC version was a big ghost named Harry Scary, voiced by John Stevenson. None of Casper's original co-stars appeared in the show. Between 1990 and 1994, Casper appeared in the Harvey Toon Show, which was known as Casper and Friends in the UK. This show featured other Harvey Comics characters and series, including Little Audrey, Tommy Tortoise and Mohair, Baby Huey, Herman and Catnip, Buzzy Crow, Modern Madcaps, Possum Pearl, who was actually originally debuted in a Popeye cartoon and then got her own little short. Let's see, Professor Schmaltz, Jeeper and Creeper, and others. The show consisted of famous studios produced cartoon shows from 1950 to 1964, and each episode of the series included 3 full cartoons and 1 Toontake segment. In 1996, Amblin Entertainment and Universal Cartoon Studios created a new Casper series for Fox Kids called The Spooktacular New Adventures of Casper, based on the 1995 featurette, feature that lasted 2 years and was never seen on television again after 1998. 2009, Moonscoop Group, so in association with Classic Media, TF1, and DQ, produced a Casper TV show named Casper Scare School, based on the film of the same name. In 2020, Casper appeared in a supporting role in the Scare Bud episode of Harvey Girls Forever, a series based on Harvey Comics characters. Little Audrey being one of those characters. A new live-action television series was announced to be in development at Peacock, co-produced between Universal Content Productions and DreamWorks Animation, with Woo Kai-yu writing and executive producing. There has been no new information since then. Casper can be seen on Casper and Company on MeTV Tunes weekdays. So, yeah. So, anyways, hey, if it shows though, thanks for dropping in. All right, so that's all we're going to cover on that. So, hopefully, everybody enjoyed the material there. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go through real quick the wrestling wrap up. Look, I'm going to run a little longer than I intended to tonight here, but anyways, so let me talk about, so WWE, of course, is continuing its build towards WrestleMania, and of course AEW had its Revolution pay-per-view last night, so we'll go ahead and so first off, of course, we'll go back to Friday Night SmackDown to look at how things went there. Okay, so Friday Night SmackDown was held at the Mortgage Matchup Center in Phoenix, Arizona, as they were, of course, continuing their build towards WrestleMania. The opening match on a non-title match. Non-title match, in a match between the WWE Tag Team Champions, the MFTs, and the Wyatt Six. Wyatt Six won the match, in which Eric Rowan and Uncle Howdy defeated the MFTs of Solo Sikoa and Tala Tonga in 10 minutes 47 seconds. And what you thought would be the end of this feud, as it looked like for a moment there, the Wyatt Six were going to get the lantern back, only for the MFTs to get the lantern back from them. Because as I was watching the highlights here, Nikki Cross got hold of it, was walking away, and instead of just taking off with it, she just stood around taunting. Of course, that eventually led to them losing the match. But then in another non-title match, WWE Women's Champion Jade Cargill defeated Michin 8 minutes 23 seconds. In a match for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, the Irresistible Forces successfully retained over Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair via DQ as the Bella Twins came in and ambushed both teams, trying to lay claim to their desires to go after the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. In kind of a match to give them some momentum going into their upcoming title shot coming up at WrestleMania, Damian Priest and R-Truth defeated Los Garzas, Angel Umberto, in just over 11 minutes. Tiffany Stratton defeated Kiana James with Julia in her corner, and what many believe could be a setup for maybe Tiffany Stratton possibly going after the United States title coming up at WrestleMania. And then Trick Williams got the win on Jacob Fatu, even though there was interference from Drew McIntyre in the match. Also, at the end of the show, at the contract signing between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton for their upcoming match at WrestleMania, saw Randy turn heel on Cody, blooding him up, albeit the fans didn't seem to go for it. But let's see. It did at least make me want to rewatch the live-action Casper movie. That one is a gem. All right, well, I'm glad to hear that. Glad it got you at least somewhat excited for Casper again. Casper, the friendly ghost, the friendliest ghost you know. All right, so that was all for SmackDown. So now we're going to, of course, take a look at what happened at... I'm going to go ahead and take a look at what happened at last night's Revolution pay-per-view. There's a number of things happened there, aside from the matches themselves, of course. First off, we'll go to the pre-show, the 0 hour pre-show for Revolution, taking place at the Crypto.com arena in Los Angeles, California, with Excalibur, Nigel McGuinness, and Tony Schiavone on commentary. Opening match of the pre-show saw in a tag team match Boom and Doom of Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall, with Aaron Solo, Big Justice, and the Riddler in their corner, defeating the inventory of Carly Bravo and Sean Dean, with Christian XO, Shane Taylor, and Trish Adora in their corner. Then, in a match, the AEW TBS title, and a match in which both women were doing double duty tonight, and double duty last night. We'll explain why in a moment. Willow Nightingale retained the TBS title over Lena Cross. After the match, of course, Lena Cross and her tag partner, Megan Bain, beat down Willow Nightingale, which would have an effect later on in the night. We'll get to that in a moment, of course. Only for Willow's tag partner in the Babes of Wrath, Harley Cameron, to come out and make the save. In the main event of the pre-show, the AEW National Title 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal, in which Ricochet defended the national title against 20 other individuals. Jack Perry would come out on top, with him and Ricochet being the last two entrants before Jack Perry eliminated Ricochet and became the new AEW National Champion. So the first title switch of the night there. So now we're going to go to the main show itself, as the pre-show bled into the main show. Also happening from the Crypto.com arena in Los Angeles, California, with Bryan Danielson joining the commentary team for the Revolution pay-per-view, along with Don Callis at times. So after the national title battle royal concluded, the first full match of the pay-per-view, the first scheduled full match of the pay-per-view, saw FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood retain the AEW World Tag Team titles over the Young Bucks of Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson. Following the match, saw the return of Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, Cope and Cage, to lay claim to their intentions to challenge FTR for the AEW World Tag Team titles. They're both coming off recent absences. And in a match where everybody was banned from ringside, Toni Storm defeated Marina Shafir in 9 minutes 46 seconds. Following the match, towards the end of the match, we saw the AEW debut of Ronda Rousey, which got a lot of backlash, considering some of the comments, particularly towards WWE, that Ronda Rousey has leveled, leading to a confrontation between Rousey and Storm in the ring, having to be separated by security. Stay tuned for that. It was said that Ronda Rousey was there to support her friend, Marina Shafir, and that's why she was there. Now, when they said, of course, everybody was banned from ringside, that basically meant that the Death Riders and Toni Storm's, and those who were who are associated with Toni Storm, as in the Timeless Love Bombs of Luther and Mina Shakira, as well as Conglomeration, were banned from ringside. Then, in the no time limits match for the Continental title, Jon Moxley retained over Konosuke Takeshita in 23 minutes 32 seconds. In the match for the AEW Women's World title, this is where things came. This is where, Willow Nightingale and Lena Cross were performing double duty. The team, now calling themselves Divine Dominion of Megan Bayne and Lena Cross, defeated the Babes of Wrath to become the new AEW Women's World Tag Team Champion, as, of course, Willow Nightingale had been beat down earlier during, just in the post-match of her AEW TBS title defense earlier in the evening, as they basically were able to double team Harley Cameron in order to ultimately get the win for the tag titles. Then, in a match to determine who was truly the most dangerous man in going back up to the Continental title, there was one other return I forgot to mention. So following the Continental title match marked the return of Will Ospreay from injury, as he was, I guess, as they're setting up a possible match between Ospreay and Moxley, maybe for All Out later this year, or Forbidden Door, one of those shows that will be showing up in England later this year for that. So anyways, in a match to determine who the most dangerous wrestler in AEW is between Swerve Strickland and Brody King, Swerve Strickland was able to quite literally choke Brody King out with a chain to get him to he beat Brody King. This is a regular match, so that choke out idea came out later. Sorry. In a best 2 out of 3 falls match for the AEW Women's World title, Tekla defeated Chris Statlander to retain the AEW Women's World title. In a match for the AEW World Trios titles, the team of Jet Speed, of Speedball Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight, teaming this time with Mystico, defeated the Don Callis family members of AEW International Champion Kazuchika Okada, TBS Champion Kyle Fletcher and Fletcher's Aussie Open teammate Mark Davis to become the new champions. Andrade El Idolo, in a non-title match, Andrade El Idolo defeated Ring of Honor World Champion Bandito in just under 21 minutes. In a Tornado six-man tag match, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, and Roderick Strong defeated the unit known as the Dogs of Clark Connors, David Finlay, and Gabe Kidd in just shy of and in a Texas death match for the AEW World Title, MJF choked out Adam Page in order to not only retain the AEW World Title, but also for Hangman Adam Page to never again be able to challenge the AEW World Title. Personally, as a wrestling purist, I do not like this type of stipulation. Because ultimately, even in kayfabe, the idea is to ultimately be able to go after the top title in the company. It makes no sense whatsoever, even if when they did this with Cody Rhodes, with the TNT title, even if you have Adam Page holding the a secondary title on multiple occasions, this just makes absolutely no sense at all. There's times I just cannot stand AEW's booking because it's like Tony Khan is sitting there flipping the bird to tradition. So that's just my take on it. But anyways, so now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what to look forward to on tonight's Monday Night Raw. And tonight's Monday Night Raw. Let me see here. Will be taking place in the Front Bank Center in San Antonio, Texas, airing on Netflix tonight with Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary. Already scheduled for tonight's Raw. The battle of both El Grande Americanos will be taking each other on, the original and the newer one. In a non-title match, WWE Women's World Champion Stephanie McMahon will be taking on Raquel Rodriguez in a one-on-one match. Liv Morgan set to be in. So of course, Liv Morgan has the upcoming title match against McMahon at WrestleMania. So she's probably hoping that maybe get her Judgment Day teammate to sit there and soften Stephanie up a bit. Natty and Maxine Dupree will be taking each other on in a singles match. Set for the main event, AJ Lee will be defending the Women's Intercontinental title against Bayley. All right, so that's all we got for wrestling wrap-up tonight. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to wrap things up by taking a look back at this day in each history. History! So today is, of course, March 16th, 2026. So let's take a look back at this day in each history. History! So first off, I'm going to head back 80 years ago, as on this date 80 years ago, back in 1946, on this date in 1946, Baby Bottleneck, Warner Brothers Looney Tunes cartoons directed by Bob Clampett and written by Warren Foster, premiered in movie theaters on this date back in 1946, starring Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, with Tweety making a cameo appearance in the film. As the baby boom of 1946 escalates, disgruntled stork, patterned after Jimmy Durante, laments his workload at the Stork Club. Inexperienced animals have attempted unsuccessfully to mitigate the increased workload, resulting in numerous baby animals being delivered to parents of the wrong species. So that's the gist of that particular cartoon. So 80 years ago today, Warner Brothers cartoon Baby Bottleneck premiered on this date in 1946. All right. So, anyways, moving on to the next piece in each history, I'd actually like to wish a happy 40th birthday to professional wrestler Ken Doane. Soon do we bring that up. Now, Ken Doane, the name Ken Doane might not sound quite as familiar to you guys, unless, of course, you saw him on the independent circuit. Ken Doane, better known to most wrestling fans as Kenny of the Spirit Squad or Kenny Dykstra from WWE fame. So, happy 40th birthday to Ken Doane, 40 born 40 years ago today. Better known to most fans as Kenny Dykstra or just simply Kenny from the Spirit Squad. Then, after that, moving ahead to the year 2011, 15 years ago today, on this day, 15 years ago today, 2011, on this date, 20 years ago today, the 10th and final issue of DCU Legends went on sale on newsstand on this date back in 2011. Sold for $3.99. It's 40 pages. You had a couple of stories in there: Truth and Consequences and Redemption. And finally, as soon as I pull this up here, 2011 is just so nice that we're going to hit it twice. As also on this date in the year 2011, 15 years ago today, the Kyoto Animation's OVA special K-On! Plan premiered or was released on this date back in 2011. So 15 years ago today, Kyoto Animation's special plan for K-On! Plan was released on this date back in 2011. All right, so with that being said, I thank everybody for being here tonight. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back here with more Niche News tomorrow, of course. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.